Okay, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you. So, today in this session, we'll be discussing about the course that is PGDSLM, PG Diploma in School Leadership and Management. And before this, you have already gone through various courses under this specific diploma, PG diploma. So, today we'll be focusing on MES 006, Block 2, specifically in Block 2. So, the block two basically contains 5 units. So, what we will do is we'll bifurcate those 5 units into two parts. So, we'll try to cover half of the content, that is unit, 2.5 unit today, and then 2.5, mostly appropriate, approximately 2.5 unit in the next session. So, I'll just like to share the content with you. So, is it visible to all of you?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you. So
Yes, it
the
is.
unit is,
Hmm.
oh, thank you so much. So it is unit five, basically curriculum transaction, and I hope that you all of you have already gone through in the earlier blog about curriculum development and also the timetable and all other things. So today we'll be talking about curriculum transaction in this unit, that is unit number 5. And what are the basic components, what is teaching learning process, how a teacher can develop a better effective teaching learning environment inside the classroom, what is the lesson plan, and how what are the format of lesson plan. Besides that, what is the teacher's diary, then what are teaching aids. I hope that you have already covered teaching aids, types of teaching aids in block 1. So today we'll be discussing how we can use teaching aids judicially in the classroom, effective use of teaching aids basically. So what are the different teaching styles and how student participation can be increased in the classroom for a effective teaching learning process. So these are the things, besides that, what is the role of ICT? So these are the things which we are going to discuss today one by one. So let's start with this. If we start from curriculum transaction, before this, as I told you, you have already discussed curriculum development. So I'll start with what is a curriculum and what is a transaction and what do we mean by curriculum transaction. So, okay, I was just checking it is visible in the website or not. So, curriculum basically means when we talk about a school or a teaching learning situation in a school, so curriculum involves all the components besides the curricular activities, the co-curricular activities, or each and everything the child learns within the boundaries of the school. So we can say that all the experiences which the child gets inside the school involves curriculum. So curriculum includes all these things. Maybe the social environment, maybe the emotional development, maybe the physical development, maybe mathematics, English, Arabic languages, any cultural input which you are providing to the students. Everything is involved inside curriculum, and it's a wider term. So syllabus is also a part of curriculum. And when we say transaction is basically a commercial term. It has evolved out of commerce and industries. Any transaction, so a deal between two people, if we technically say. But here when we are talking about transaction, we mean that how that particular curriculum which have been developed for that particular school, class, or a region, how will that be implemented or how will that be managed basically. So it's about management of the curriculum. Now, one more term evolves here, management. So earlier we were talking about curriculum transaction. Now one more term has been added, that is managing. So management of the curriculum, how the teaching learning will be conducted inside the classroom, what activities will be organized by the teacher, how the head of the school will deal with the teachers, how the head of the school will deal with the finances, how the head of the school will deal with the staff, how the head of the school will deal with the other things. So management incorporates many elements and many factors basically. So here, how we are going to transact the curriculum. So now if you see here, when we're talking about management, so there are various functions of management. Management again is a term which have evolved from industries and commerce. I think somebody's mic is on. So if you could please switch off your mic, Mr. Suleiman. Yeah, kindly switch off your mic. All right. So when we are talking about management, there are various functions of management. So as you can see on the screen also, we generally say PODSCOP. In short, we say PODSCOP. So planning, organizing, administrating, guiding or directing, you can say. One of the function is staffing and one more function is controlling the things. Let's discuss them one by one. So when we are saying curriculum transaction, planning is a very important part there. So the head of the school or the head of the department or the teacher in fact needs to plan in advance all the activities and even what he is going to teach inside the classroom. So planning with regard to finances also, planning with regard to teaching learning activities also, and planning with regard to resources also. Because when there is a organization, any organization, a school, so for say example, a school is there, so multiple things will be required to run a school. For example, a building, many rooms, how many rooms are there in the building, toilets would be required, then ICT rooms and laboratories, etc., will be required for running a school. So, planning for all those things, how to construct, what to construct, how many rooms will be there, how many classes will run there, etc. Organizing the things, organizing systematically, for example timetable, organizing the timetable of different classes, different subjects, organizing the activities of different classes and different subjects, organizing the sports day, for example cultural activities in a school. So there are multiple activities which keeps on going inside a school. So organizing all things together so that everything in the school or in the department runs smoothly. Then administration is there. Administration involves staffing also. So staffing means is basically a pattern of recruitment, what to recruit, whom to recruit in the school. So to run a school, to run an organization, people will be required, human resource will be required. For that you can say teachers will be required, certain staff members will be required, some peons will be required, accountants will be there. So staffing the appropriate person for the job. So that's again is a part of administration. Then guiding, directing the things, guiding or directing the things means in which direction the school is moving. If the school is able to, or if the organization is able to meet its set objectives. Generally each and every organization has a set objectives, and those, for achieving those objectives, that organization works throughout the time. If I take an example of any factory, any company, so they have a set goal, we need to earn this much of profit in 3 months. So they did, for that particular purpose they will work towards achieving that goal. In the same way, the school organization or education organization have set objectives. So according to those objectives, is everything is working properly in the school or not. So if not, then that is to be corrected. And then controlling the things, controlling the finances, controlling the human resources in the organization, controlling in the people, the students, how the students are working, what are they doing, what mischievous things they are doing inside the school, they need to be, that needs to be taken care of. The finances of the schools are very important. The resources are to be used very judicially. Resources, for example, there is a laboratory, physics laboratory in your school. So the equipment inside the laboratory must be used efficiently and judiciously so that the teachers or the student do not break them, and that will otherwise that will cause the school a huge amount to again refix that particular equipment. So in controlling, keeping a check over all the things what is happening inside the school. So that's how management works. These are the basic functions of management. These all functions are to be conducted, done by the school head also, and even the teacher sometimes needs to do all these kind of things. So if from the point of view of a teacher I talk here, the teacher need to plan out the things, the teacher need to organize the learning material in a sequence, he need to take care of the students inside the classroom and even outside the classroom. They need to give guidance to the students from time to time, and they need to set a discipline inside and outside the classroom, inside the school basically. So these were the function basically management, if you're talking about management. So basically here what we are talking is curriculum transaction and management of the curriculum inside the school, how we are going to implement that, manage the things inside the school. Now if we talk about curriculum development that you already would have studied earlier, basically there are certain committees, there are certain higher committees in the schools, or a school committee for that, or if we talk about the universities, there are board of studies which basically decides the curriculum, manage the curriculum, pass the curriculum in their councils. There are councils also for the school education, there are various councils for the school education also. As Nigerian Education Research Council, Development Council is also there, which has already developed a curriculum for the school education. If you're talking about the development of the curriculum, then there are set councils, set organizations which have been imparted the duty of that particular work. Now, what are the basis of curriculum transaction? On what basis, basically, the transaction of the curriculum is based on? What are the things which we must think over before transacting our curriculum in the school, or even development of the curriculum also? So as I have told that there are certain set objectives which will be set by the nation, which will be set by the state according to the need of that particular nation. Let's take an example of South Africa. So for example, if there is the South African government have conducted a need analysis. So on the basis of that need analysis, what do they think, what are the points which needs to be taken care of when they are deciding the curriculum, when they are planning the curriculum? So for example, if we say we can say unemployment is a major problem which have evolved over time. So how the government is going to take care of that unemployment, how will that happen? I would just like to ask this from the participants, if they could answer this. Like for example, there is a problem of unemployment in the nation. Now if you are a curriculum, if you are developing a curriculum, and for that matter if you're transacting the curriculum, what should be incorporated inside the curriculum so that this unemployment problem could be reduced? So this is just a simple question from the participants, if you would like to answer. Is anybody from the participants? Mr. Muniba Sufyan or Kavuki Peter, Mr. Suleiman, anybody of you could answer. Whatever you think is. Any
Good
answer, please?
afternoon, ma'am.
Yeah,
I think we should include more of social and sporting activity in the school.
yes. Activities could be involved. That's very nice. Any other participant would like to answer? As Muneba madam has already said that certain social activities could be incorporated inside the school. In the same way, if there is an unemployment problem, then what will happen is the government will take care of that particular Okay, I hope I'm audible to all of you.
Yes, ma.
Okay, thank you so much. I just lost my connection. So we were talking about like unemployment problems in the organization or any nation or any state. So what will the government do? The government will try to incorporate many training courses and vocational courses in the school system, so that the students and the people, the children could get training on vocational courses, and then ultimately they can get certain type of employment in the any organizations. Any skills can be upgraded. So in the same way, when we are talking about the transaction of curriculum, so the very first point, which is a basis, is the social philosophy of the society. Now, what is the form of society, what kind of society is there, and then what is the philosophy? Like if I say, what was the philosophy before apartheid and what was the philosophy after apartheid? So what kind of social philosophy the society believes in? Do the society believes in living together? Do the society believes in helping each other? Do the society believes in the development and conservation of the indigenous culture? Do the society believes in developing the languages, various languages or various dialects in the society? So in this way, what kind of philosophy, the social philosophy, do the society have? So on the basis of that, the curriculum is basically transacted. The second important point is national needs and state needs. We have already discussed that. What is the national need? What are the needs of the state? If we talk about Nigeria, what are the needs of Nigeria? What are the needs of South Africa? What are the needs of India, for that sense? So for example, a teenage pregnancy is a very issue which keeps on emerging in various countries. So how to tackle that? So that's again an issue which needs to be taken care of. So these are the things which must be taken care of while we are transacting the curriculum, and these are the basis. On the basis of these, the curriculum is developed and transacted. Then third point is nature of course of study. What is the course? If it is a mathematics, is it a language, Arabic language? Is it an English language? Is it a science of course? What kind of course is that? So on the nature of the course also depends the transaction of the curriculum. For example, if it is a language subject, so how you're going to transact that? Any language. You can develop, like there could be role plays. You can develop certain role plays for that. Certain kinds of say shows can be developed. Conservation exercises can be developed. But if it is a science course or a mathematics course, science course, more demonstration is needed in a science. So are there any science teacher among you? Anybody from like science, physics, chemistry, or language? Anybody? So
Yeah.
if yeah, so you're a science teacher, right? So you know that in science, demonstration is required. Like for example, if there is a physics lab, this is a chemistry subject. So in chemistry also, the teacher is supposed to demonstrate how this chemical will be mixed inside the particular chemical, what will be the formation, what will be the color, what will be the smell in that sense. So nature of the course of study will also decide the transaction of that curriculum. Then type of examination. What kind of examination system is being followed in the particular state, in the particular country? So that's also the basis of the curriculum. For example, if there is a matriculation examination, so what kind of papers are given to the students? What is the time period for which the examination is being conducted? What kind of questions are given to the students? Is it objective type questions, subjective type question? What are the things? All these things will be taken care of in the particular transaction. Now let's take the another point, that is form of government. What kind of government is in your country, running in your country? So let's take African National Congress is running. What are their objectives, right? What are they going to do? What are their objectives of that particular political organization? So the form of government will also decide the basis for curriculum transaction. Maybe some government may like to add certain things inside your curriculum. Some government may like to remove certain parts of a curriculum in that country, or for that, if there is a democratic alliance africans, what will they like to add, what will they like to remove, in that sense. So form of government also is a basis for curriculum transaction. Then theories and assumptions of human organization. So, whenever we talk about human organization, there are various human behavioral theories. If I talk about the management subject, that is a subject management. So, if we talk about the management subject, in management, there are various behavioral theories which are being taught. What do you assume about human beings? So there are human relationship, there are two things. One is human relationship, and there are organizational relationship, structure and relationship. So for any organization to run smoothly, human relationships must be in a it must be in harmony. There must be harmony in human relationship. For example, in you are in your school or in your organization, now what kind of relationship do you have with your head, or what kind of relationship do you have with all your colleagues? That will decide if the organization is able to achieve the objectives or not. So in the same way, what is the structure of the organization, what are the objectives of the organization, these all things too are taken care of here. Then the next point is growth and development stages of student. Again, this is a part of psychology, basically, growth and development. So when we talk about growth, growth is basically it is about physical development. Growth is about physical development. The height of the students, the body of the students, the development of the body, the development of the height, the development of the hairs, eye color, etc. So all these things are considered under growth. And when we talk about development, development means physical development, moral development, mental development, spiritual development, then emotional development, social development. So all these stages are also considered, like for which class, what should be what is important for this. For example, there is a child of 7 years or 8 years, so up to the age of 8 years, what kind of social development is necessary for a 8-year child, what kind of emotional development is required, what will be his physical growth in terms of growth and development. So these are also considered. And lastly, the recommendations of various committees and organization. In if we talk about uh, if we talk about, you can see on the right hand side, I have already, there is a text box, you can see there. University of South Africa Commission report was there. Teenage pregnancy in South Africa, there was a report on that. National report on development of education. Then higher education development report is also there on Africa. So these are the reports, commissions, and committees from time to time which suggest what needs to be done, and on the basis of those reports of those commissions and committees, basically the syllabus, the curriculum is defined. They keep on suggesting this should be done, this should not be done. So on the basis of those recommendations and suggestions, various changes are made in the curriculum according to those reports. Now, this was basically about the curriculum transaction. Now we will talk about the teaching learning process. The next step is teaching learning process. What is the teaching learning process? So the teaching learning process, teaching and learning, there are two things involved there. So teaching on the part of the teacher is responsible for the teaching process. Learning learning for the learning process, learning part, the students are required. So obviously in a teaching learning process, that will happen inside the classroom or outside the classroom. So that teaching learning process will decide the students development, or the students learning, how much the student is able to learn inside the classroom or outside the classroom. So the interaction is one of the important thing. The learning environment is the second important thing. And then what kind of teacher is there, what are the abilities of the teacher, what kind of peers do the child have. Peers also form, because when we talk about social development, so peers form a very important element there, because the social development takes place when you have your colleagues or your peers and you talk to them, you share your things, you share, the child share his food with the his friends or her friends, the child share his personal thoughts or family things with the other child. So in that sense, or he shares his pencil or a rubber or his bag or anything which the child have, they're kind of sharing the two with each other. That develops a bond among the children, and then social development also take place there. So here it is very important that the teaching learning process is directed towards the achievement of the objectives, desired objectives or defined objective or set objectives. So we'll move ahead in this direction only. We'll talk about this a little bit more. So how the teaching learning environment could be made better, what are the things which can make the learning environment better. Because the teaching learning environment or the teaching learning situation or the process will depend on the environment in the school. What kind of environment do a school have? So I'll give you two pictures. Like one, there is a school in the remote areas, very remote areas. The child is sitting on the soil, the mud itself. There is no blackboard inside the classroom. The building is shattered. It's like there is no door inside that. Children are sitting and they do not, they're not wearing proper clothes. This is one situation. The second situation is there is a very good building. The children are sitting in a chair table. There is a smart board inside the classroom. The rooms are very huge. They're airy rooms. Light is coming from appropriate places. So these are two situations. So in these situation, you can see the learning environment will be totally different, because at one situation they are getting many facilities, the child is getting many facilities, and at the other situation the child is not able to get so much facilities. So that's what we are talking here, how we can take care of a good environment for the children's or for the teaching learning situation. So when we say effective environment or a good environment, so there are certain things like resources in the classroom. So when we say resources, what are the resources which are available in the classroom? Can you tell me, please? So what kind of resources are available inside the classroom? When you are teaching inside the classroom, what do you think you have with you in the classroom, which you can use for teaching learning? Yes, Mr. Suleiman, will you like to answer? Or Miss Peter, Miss Maniba, anybody of you? What resources do you have inside the classroom?
The question. Come again.
Yeah, what resources do you have inside the classroom?
Resources for
Yes.
teaching and learning process.
Yes.
Okay.
For
We have
example,
our
Blackboard is
display
there.
boards.
Yes.
You can talk of the boat. The boat.
Yes. Okay. So, for example, as you have answered that there could be a blackboard, there could be a you
Our
make use of
display
it.
boards
Yes,
for
display.
putting our charts, various charts.
Yes. So there could be
And we
multiple.
also have other audiovisual
Yes.
things.
Yes. Audiovisual aids. Yes, good, great. So, as I told you that there could be very variety of resources could be there. For example, the best one of the best resources, the blackboard, where generally the teachers make use of blackboard all the time whenever they are inside the classroom. So the blackboard is there. Besides that, there are various teaching aids which can be used. There could be charts, there could be models, there could be certain pictures, there could be teaching learning aids, as it should, audio visual aids also. Audio aids, you can just, if you are a language teacher, English or any Arabic language or any other language, if you are teaching in the classroom, you can make use of various audio aids. So these are the resources which you can utilize. So we will be talking about these things only in this section here. So we'll be talking about classroom climate, learning resources, and how you can like the efficiency, how the efficiency of the teaching learning could be improvised through that. So one thing is social emotional environment into the classroom. So when we are saying social emotional classroom environment, so there are 2 points again into that. One is social, the other one is emotional. So two things are there. So earlier I have told you social development, emotional development, social emotional environment. How the teacher will build the social emotional environment in the classroom. So the teacher will take care of the social norms, the culture, the background of the child. He will interact with the child, he'll talk to the child, will listen to the child, will respond to the child. In that sense, the child is in a situation to be comfortable with the teacher. So the child gets emotionally attached to the teacher. So, social emotional climate. Again, if we talk about social climate, as I told you, peers could be a very good example where social environment could be developed. What are the peers? What are the children's other children's doing inside the classroom? Are they helping each other or not? Are they sharing the things with each other or not? What kind of activities the teacher could develop for developing the improvising or enhancing the social emotional environment inside the classroom. So, for example, equal opportunity could be provided. Like if you're asking a question or if you're doing certain activity, so every child wants to do that. But in that sense, every child wants to do that. So you will provide an equal opportunity to all the children. No discrimination with the children on the basis of caste, creed, or color, sex, anything. No discrimination among the child. So this will help the teacher to build the social emotional environment inside the classroom. Besides that, the teacher must be sensitive to the needs of the children. We have heard about individual differences. In psychology, basically, we talk about individual differences. Every child is different from the other child. So every child's needs is different from the other child's need. So those needs must be taken care of while you are inside the classroom. Besides that, if the child is doing some good activities or he is performing better, so the teacher must encourage the child. She must praise the child. And vice versa, you can do. If the child is not doing the things appropriately, you can help the child. If the child is not making things, the activities in a better way, not doing things in a better way, you can help the child in a sense. So, praise, encouragements will help a child to move in the right direction and to learn things in a better way. So, we'll talk about classroom arrangements then. Mm, if you have a classroom, so what are the different arrangements which can be done by the teacher? Arrangement means, for example, how the children are sitting arrangement. You can talk about sitting arrangement also. Generally what we do inside the classroom is the children whose height is more, they are supposed to be sit at the back, and the children whose height is less, they are supposed to be sitting in the front rows. Or what we do, we generally move the students, rotate the students every day so that everybody can get a chance to sit in the front rows. Or what can be done, if the children, some children might have problem in hearing, some might have problem in visibility problem, so those can be taken care by the teacher. So the children who are having these kind of problems, they can be told to sit in the front rows. So in this way, the classroom arrangements can be helpful to the teachers for providing a better learning environment for the your children's. So which we say conducive environment is essential. Conducing a helpful environment, a good environment for the children is necessary. What can be done? Other things. What other things can be done? They have been highlighted here. uh, the teacher, there is a teacher and there is a child. There are two people inside the classroom, or maybe three if you make it a triangle. Third part are the peers. If you can make a square, fourth part are the facilities inside the classroom. So the teacher and the student must have a kind of trust between each other. The child must trust the teacher. They must have a good feeling about the teacher, and that there the role of the teacher is very important. He must do certain activities. He must behave in a certain way so that that trust is developed. Certain constructive activities must be enhanced, promoted by the teacher. So if the child is doing some activity, you feel that this is a creative activity, this is an innovative activity, that must be promoted. The teacher must encourage the child to make choices, to do things in a certain way. They must not just hamper over the child their decisions. You do these things in a way, you do these things in a way. No, the child must be given opportunity to do certain things the way they want to do, but the teacher is there to guide the children. The guidance must be there. Teacher is a facilitator. The teacher must facilitate all the time. Now, non-verbal signals are also important. So I will just again ask a question. What are the non-verbal signals which you give inside your classroom? Like if you are teaching in your classroom, you understand there are verbal signals, there are non-verbal signals. Verbal signals are when you use your language. A particular, if you take a name of a particular child and say, you stand up, what are you doing, you should not do these kind of things. But there is a second thing, non-verbal signals. So do you make use of any non-verbal signals inside your classrooms, and what are those? Yes,
Yeah, we do.
what are those non-verbal signals?
Eyes to eyes contact.
Yes, yes, that's wonderful. So, what generally happen if the child is not doing something? If you see the child is doing some mischievous activity, they are not they are not doing that particular thing which have been told them to do. What do? You just look at the child with your eyes. So whenever you, as Miss Maniba has said, that eye to eye contact, you look at the child continuously, and the child come to understand that yes, I'm not, I should not do this thing. It means that this is a kind of non-verbal signal. Sometimes you stare, sometimes you make your eyes bulge out, sometimes you continuously look at the child, sometimes you do with your finger just like this. So it means no, not to do that. So these are the various non-verbal signals which also can be made use inside the, or you just can take a round inside your classroom, and you just go through that particular child who is not doing their work. So they'll come to know that the sir or the madam is coming to me, I must take care of my work now. So next thing is involvement of the student. So whatever work the child is doing, they must be held accountable for this work. You have to do, and you will be responsible for this particular work. The teacher must provide access to learning resources also. Learning resources, any kind of teaching aid which you are utilizing inside the classroom, the child must be given opportunity to touch the things, to see the things. If the teacher has developed a model for the students, so the child must be given an opportunity to see that particular model, to touch it, to feel it, to discuss that with the teacher what is happening. So providing access to the learning resources, arrangement of the classroom according to the activity that must be done, demand functional furniture and arrangement. So whatever furniture depends on the school's facilities, what kind of facilities the school is providing. The furniture can be arranged if the school has a furniture, good furniture. If the school do not have a good furniture, that depends on the um, financial ability of that particular school, if they have sufficient finances or not. Then effectiveness of overall environment in the classroom. If the overall environment of the classroom is good, conducive or not, that must be looked after. The teacher must see if the children are working in groups, what kind of groups are being formed inside the classrooms. If that particular group which is forming, what kind of activity that particular group is doing, are that group involved in certain kind of negative activities, is that particular group is involved in some activities which must not be done by them, that must be checked by the teacher. If there is a child who is a lonely child who's not talking to anybody, who is not involved in any activity, that must also be taken care of by the children. But then these all things can only be conducted when the school head wants that, when the school head is readily available, when the head knows about these things. So it's very important for the school head to know about all the points, what is a classroom environment, how that can be developed, what are the points which must be taken care of, so that the school head could guide the teachers of the school also. That's important here. So, appropriate learning environment must be provided inside the classroom, so that you may feel, the children may feel good, the children may feel happy, the children may feel joyful. I'll give you one more example. Like whenever you want to go out with your family, for example, you want to go out, just there is a vacation and you want to go out with your family. So you go to places which looks good or which feels good to you, or you want to have your lunch, so you go in a restaurant where you can sit and you can, the ambience is good, you feel good about it. It's same like that. If the classroom environment, furniture, all the facilities are good, the child will have a good feeling about that. And obviously if he feels good about that, that will be his teaching learning process, the learning process will also get affected from that, and that will ultimately lead to the effective learning. Now let's talk about the other part, that is lesson planning and preparation. So this is again very important aspect, lesson planning. Planning the lesson, whatever you're going to teach inside the classroom, preparing that in advance. So generally the teachers do that, and it is a very important requirement, very essential requirement to prepare your lesson in advance. So this is about lesson planning. So before we move to the lesson planning, one thing is there that every teacher must know is about the Bloom's taxonomy. So I hope all of you might have heard about it, Bloom's taxonomy. Have you? Or you have heard about Benjamin Bloom? Or you have heard about cognitive, affective, or psychomotor domain? You can write in the chat box also if you do not want to speak. So, Bloom's taxonomy, we'll be discussing that briefly and then we'll move ahead. So, lesson planning is basically moreover based on Bloom's taxonomy. In 1956, Benjamin Bloom, he gave a taxonomy. So on the basis of that, basically that taxonomy was developed for evaluation purpose, right? But later on, it was being used for lesson planning, and all the teaching learning activities are revolves around all these things. So you can see here cognitive domain, effective domain, and psychomotor domain. These three important things. So cognitive domain basically deals with the cognition, the knowing aspect, the knowledge aspect of the child. Effective domain deals with the feeling part, emotions of the child. And the psychomotor domain deals with the physical development, you can say, actions or doing of the child. So, this is very important because all the teaching learning rotates around these three domains. So, according to these three domains, lesson planning is generally developed. Now, what happens here again with that, you must know about the phases of teaching. Basically, there are three phases of teaching. When the teacher decides to teach, there are three phases of teaching. Pre-active phase. Pre-active phase means the time period before the lesson, you before starting the lesson. Pre-active phase is the time period before starting your lesson. That is, if you are going to start your lesson tomorrow, so day before, so today will be the pre-active phase. You will be preparing your lesson for tomorrow, whatever you're going to teach inside the classroom. So pre-active phase. Interactive phase is the time period when the teacher is inside the classroom, when the interaction is taking place between the teacher and the child or the students. So this is interactive phase, where the actual teaching learning takes place is in the interactive phase. Then there is a post-active phase. Post-active phase is basically that phase after the teaching learning has taken place. After that, the feedback part, the teacher what evaluates himself, herself. The teacher evaluates the children also. What went wrong? What should I do? What should I not do? Was I able to fulfill my objectives or not? Whatever objectives the teacher has set or decided, they were fulfilled or not. So that is the time. Post-active phase is the time when the teacher analyzes his teaching. Should I use this method? Should I have used this method? Because I was not able to achieve the objectives. Why I was not able to achieve the objectives? Basically, it's a feedback phase also. So two things are important. That is Bloom's taxonomy, three domains, and then the phases of teaching, three phases of teaching. So these are very important. Now let's come to lesson planning. Why lesson planning is required? So lesson planning obviously is required by the teacher to understand and plan what needs to be done inside the classroom. If the teacher doesn't plan it in advance, he will have problem inside the classroom. He'll not be in a situation to know what to do inside the classroom. That will waste the time of the students and the teachers also. There will be mismanagement inside the classroom. So planning in advance is the key for success. That's what here we are talking about. So the school head also must prepare the teachers for school planning. So there is a format you can see. uh, Basically there are four steps. Broadly there are four steps of lesson planning. The objectives of the lesson. For example, you are teaching physics, or if you're teaching biology, whatever subject you are teaching, you will set out the objectives. The students will be able to understand what is chlorophyll. The student will be able to conduct an experiment on chlorophyll, and so and so. Then there will be introduction section where the teacher will introduce the lesson. There will be a development section where the lesson will develop. You will develop the lesson. You will teach basically, you will explain the things. And then there will be a closing section where you will close the chapter at the end of that particular time period. These 4 points are further this format you can see on the screen. This is a format. You just need to write the subject, which subject you are teaching, under that subject which topic, and then which target group, which is your class, entry behavior, general objectives. What method will you use? You will use lecture method, you will use demonstration method, you will use project method. Whatever method you will use, you'll write here. Media, teaching aids, audio aids, charts, diagrams, audio visual aids, some kind of YouTube videos you can use. You can make use of any kind of audio visual aids, whichever is available to you. Then preparation. So then after preparation, you can divide this particular thing into four parts. This is just a format. It is not a fixed format. You can change according to your requirements. So teaching points, which teaching point, for example, under chlorophyll, what under chlorophyll? First point, meaning of chlorophyll. Second point, characteristics of chlorophyll. Third point, in that sense, you can divide this. Then objectives you need to write. Then this will be, what will the teacher do? teacher activities. The teacher will show the children, I'm giving you an example. The teacher will show the children a leaf of this particular plant. Or if you want to do some experiment inside the classroom, that can also be written over there. What will the pupil do? The pupil will observe what the teacher is doing and will like to replicate the same. So what is happening here? Teacher will do certain thing inside the classroom. Pupil will look, observe, learn, copy that particular thing. And on the right hand side in the partial evaluation column, while you are teaching, what happens generally inside the classroom? When the teacher teaches inside the classroom, simultaneously the teacher evaluates the students. Am I right? Do you understand? Do you got it? What is the name of this? How is this happening? So these kind of questions generally teacher are continuously keep on asking. Why do teacher ask the question inside the classroom? May I know please from the participants if you would like to answer? Why do the teacher ask the questions inside the classroom while teaching?
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Yeah, good afternoon.
I think the teacher is asking in the class in order to evaluate the performance of the student on the subject he is teaching.
Yes, that's wonderful. Mr. Suleiman has said the teacher asks the question to evaluate the students, basically. So, yes, of course, the teacher continuously assesses and evaluates the students if they are able to understand or not. So, if the students are understanding, comprehending what has been taught by the teacher. So, one thing is that. Second thing is, what is the second thing? They check if the child is paying attention or not. If the child is paying attention or not, that also is an important part there. Moreover, here what we are talking about is evaluation. So continuously the teacher evaluates what is happening, if the child is able to understand or not, if the child is understanding what is being taught or not. This is a major part here. Now, if you look at the sixth point, recapitulation, revision, evaluation. Here, what happens? Recapitulation means revision, basically, revising what has already been taught inside the classroom. So, here the teacher tries to revise the things. Today, we have talked about chlorophyll, the types, the meaning, the characteristics. We have seen the yellow color leaf, we have seen a green color leaf, and so on. And then the teacher gives home assignment, some homework, to collect certain different colored leaves, bring certain 5 different color leaves tomorrow inside the classroom, collect and bring. And then there is chalkboard work plan. So this is basically you will write something on the blackboard if you want to write something. So that's about, you can write down the homework also and other things also. So this is how you can develop a lesson plan. So this is basically elaboration of this only. Below this, if you see statement, objectives, then development, recapitulations, these are all. Uh, so here, as I asked you, if the children do not meet the objective, right? If the children meet the objectives, and these things can be taken care of. Then second important point is teaching diary, teacher's diary. One was lesson plan, and the second thing is a diary which will be maintained by the teacher. A diary of the activities and work plan of the teacher about his different subjects which the teacher is teaching. Now you can see basically teacher diary is a blueprint or a map for his future endeavors. Whatever he is going to do in the future, it's basically a map of that. So you can see here there's a simple format here. Academic year, for example 2023-24, subject physics, and then month wise, July, August, September, and then chapter you can write down which chapter I'll cover, what topic I'll cover here, what are the total periods which I'll get in July month. excluding the vacations, how many periods do I require to teach a particular topic. So in this sense, develop you can develop your teacher's diary, academic year wise, and then year you can divide that particular year wise daily diary into week wise program. This particular thing you can develop then week wise also. So 15 days fortnightly you can develop what are the topics you are going to teach in a particular week, what are the objectives, what method you will use, what audio visual aids teaching aids will you use, what a teaching aids required, what is the homework you have provided if child has completed, not completed, what units will be covered under this particular topic. So this is a teacher's diary, year wise and then week wise you can develop. So basically it's very important, this helps a teacher to plan according to the time. So what will happen if you have less time, you can plan accordingly. You can take out some extra periods also to complete your syllabus, to complete certain activities. So it keeps you on track. The teacher is always on track. Then planning and using of teaching aid in other material. So you have discussed in earlier blog about teaching aids. So you must know when and how to use the teaching aid. Teaching aids must be used appropriately at appropriate timing, and that will help the teaching learning will become more interesting, more effective. The child will be more interested in your teaching learning if they see something new that teacher has brought a particular anything. You have bought a plant, you were teaching chlorophyll, you bought a plant there, so children will be very excited to see the things and they'll be happy, so they will take more interest in your class. Then classification of material and resources. The teaching aids, there could be audio aids. You know about audio aids like radio, record players. You can make use of like recording of voices also. For language teaching, this is very important. Then visual aids are there. Visual aids are those aids which can only be seen, they cannot be heard. So charts can be there, then pictures can be there, some kind of film strips could be there. Sometimes what you do is you take one picture, other picture, three pictures, and then you simultaneously put them together. So picture show kind of thing can also be shown to the students. So these are certain examples: television, model, chalkboard, pictures, slides, movies, maps, exhibits, specimens, collections. In the biology lab, you would have seen. In the biology lab, you would have seen some specimens are kept inside the jars, right? So those can be also be shown to the students. So teacher also is considered as a visual aid. How come the teacher is considered as a visual aid? The teacher has to prepare himself or herself for the class. His hair should be properly combed. He should be well dressed. His dress should be appropriate. He should make a good make use of a good language, good body language. His gestures should not be annoying to the children. So this way the teacher also works as a visual aid. Audio visual aids can be utilized, as I told you. YouTubes can be used. Some movies, some ads can be used where the visuals are also there and the audios are also there. Now, how to select the material and resources? So the very first thing, concrete reference. The child must see the things in concrete form, and if that's not possible, then other things can be utilized, like certain other things can be utilized for that, like movies or some kind of videos can be used for that, some maps can be used for that. So the first thing is concreteness. So concrete examples, if you are able to provide, then it's good. Otherwise you can make use of certain other models. So some coordination could be taught. You can show, as I told you, you can show some small movies. There are various movies which you can search on the internet also, and you can download them and you can show to the children. If you want to show something, some abstract thing can also be, the child can understand. If you want to tell them honesty, so there you can show them picture, small picture about honesty. They will see that and they'll try to understand that. Now, what is actual classroom teaching? Observing the classroom teaching. Actual classroom teaching is inside the classroom, interactive phase. As I told you, there are three phases. So interactive phase where the teacher and the children, they communicate together. So actual classroom where the teacher uses different methods, different techniques, different audiovisual aids to make the teaching learning interesting and effective. So here, observing classroom teaching. So, classroom teaching should be observed by the school head. It's a duty of the school head. Why? Then only he will or she will be able to understand how the teacher is teaching, what are the weaknesses of the teacher, what are the strengths of the teacher, and accordingly there could be he could make improvement in his teaching learning styles or teaching learning behavior or teaching learning activity. Now there are different teaching styles and behaviors. Every teacher is different from the other teacher. Every teacher has a different style. Every teacher has a different attitude, his sensitiveness. Every teacher is different from other. So in the same way, teaching styles will differ. Their behavior will also differ from each other. So there are four basic variables here that must be taken care. Teacher, student, content, and the strategy. As I told you earlier, there could be a triangle, there could be a square. It has 4 points. One will be teacher, the other will be student, the third will be content, and there will be strategy, methods of presentation. Now there is a psychologist NL Gage. He has told certain qualities which are desirable in teaching. The very first is warmth. You must be warm with the students, emotionally supportive to the student. You must accept their feelings. Now, if some student is wishing you good morning, you must appreciate and you must respond back. You must praise the child, right? You must not provide certain kind of tensions to the child, but you must create an environment which where the child feels happy, tensionless. So this kind of warmth must be there. Cognitive organizations, the teacher, whatever ideas, whatever information the teacher had, that must be presented effectively in a systematic way so that the child understands this. It must not create confusions among the children. There must be an order into the classroom management of the teacher. There must be some kind of indirectness, like involvement of the student. There must be. So, learning opportunities, the children must be, learning opportunities must be provided to the children. The teacher must not speak all the time. The opportunity must be given to the children also to speak, to present their views, their ideas, etc. Ability to solve problems, whatever problems comes inside the classroom, behavioral problems, discipline problems, the child is not doing his homework, the child doesn't listens to you. So the teacher must solve these problems amicably, making use of different strategies. And last but not the least, control over the content. Whatever subject you are teaching, that must be under your control. You should know each and everything mostly about your subject matter. Then what should you do? The teacher must make sure there is participation among the students in your classroom. It should not be a one way exercise, it must be a two-way exercise. It always must be a two-way exercise. Always you must share your ideas, and then you must provide opportunity to the student to share their ideas. Then we'll talk about certain questioning techniques. What kind of questions can be asked? The very first thing is to check the previous knowledge. What do the child knows about this thing, right? To evaluate the student, to remove their problems. If they're having confusions, to remove their confusions. So in this way, variety type of questions can be asked from the students. Now, what is the purpose of questions? Now you can see here, diagnose the difficulties. Why do, as I was discussing with you, why do the teacher ask question? to know the problems of the student, to motivate the student, to give specific direction, to evaluate the student, to encourage the students, right? And what you should do when you are asking the questions, your when you are asking the question, your voice should be in a normal tone. It should not, you should not scare the students by asking the question in a very heavy tone, right? They should not be scared. So you should be ask the question in a very natural tone with the students. Question should be asked to the whole class, not to the one child. So you must pose a question to the whole class, everyone. And if they are working in group, then the children, you must tell them to raise their hands if they know the answer. And one by one, they must one by one, they must answer the questions. Questions should be always some aim should be there, no biases. An appropriate time must be allowed to the students for asking, for answering the question. Then there is one more important point is feedback. Feedback is very important, very essential for the improvement of teaching learning situation for the teacher and for the student, both of them. So feedback is basically the information about your performances. How do I performed? What did I do? Was there, what do I do a mistake? Was there a mistake which I have done? So these kind of things. So for example, you have taught inside your classroom. Now you want to know where did I go wrong? So there must be somebody who could provide you feedback on that. You can take feedback from the students also, and there could, you can get feedback from the head teacher if there is a policy of observation inside your school. Then reinforcement. The reinforcement is a different thing. Reinforcement is providing motivation to the students. So motivation in a formal or informal way, any kind of way could be there. So you must know certain points. The feedback must be provided immediately. The feedback, you must decide in advance if you are supposed to give feedback individually or the children are working in a group. The feedback must be provided to a group. Is it a positive feedback or a negative feedback? So again, there are types of feedback. There is a positive feedback, second one is a negative feedback, and third is a mixed feedback. As I told you, feedback can be given to the teacher also and to the students also. Feedback to the students means if they have presented something, there was a presentation, there was an activity which they have conducted. So on that, the teacher can provide feedback. But if the head is providing feedback to the teachers, then it is to be noted that the head must be not provide too much negative feedback. It must be provided in a positive way. If the weak point must be told in a positive way. So always it is considered, it is said that mixed feedback is best for the teachers so that their morale doesn't go down. So it's important to give feedback so that the teacher can improvise their methods, their techniques, their teaching learning aids, the interaction with the students, etc. Then as a second point is demonstration. Demonstration is generally conducted in the subjects where there you can carry out certain experiments, show something, perform something. So in science subjects, demonstration is conducted mostly. So it involves presentation of the task. Operating an instrument, operating an equipment can be demonstration. So what happens there is first the teacher models something and what then the other students or the class copy it out. So overall class control, it's very important. The teacher must have overall class control, because even if you are a good teacher, if you are not in a situation to control your class, everything will go in vain. The teaching learning will not be successful. You will not be in a situation to control the if you are not in a situation to control your class, things will not go in a better direction for you. So you must cultivate self discipline among the student, and homework and follow up activities. So homework must be provided to the children. Lots of homework they should not be given to the students. There must be a fixed policy for homework, how much homework to give. Sometimes what happens if the child is reading or learning six subjects, eight subjects, every teacher is providing homework to the child gets burdened with the homeworks. So that must be avoided here. Now we may move to the next unit. It's about classroom management. So what are the things we are going to talk about here is physical setup, how to arrange good classroom, then functioning of a normal classroom, interactive classroom environment, what is the role of teacher, what is the ideal classroom, teachers guidance, etc. So management we have discussed earlier also. Management means planning, organizing, directing, guiding, controlling the classroom. So teacher needs to be a manager, as well as the head of the school must be a manager. So classroom is basically a hub or a point where the learning takes place. So here many activities takes place, and variety of social people or students from different social background come together in a classroom. So social ethos are also developed there. So teachers is a very important role has to play here, because he has to manage that particular classroom. So we have discussed earlier also how to set the physical setup of a classroom, like seating arrangement. We have talked about seating arrangement. We can talk about what is the structure of the classroom, is the building, or structurally what is the formation of the classroom, or architect if we talk about architecturally. So generally it is considered that for per student 10 square feet must be provided. 10 square feet per student. So for that, you just can multiply that. If you have 50 student, it will be 500 square feet space must be provided in general law. The height of the room should be good. Room should be airy. There should be lots of windows inside the room, and light must come from the northern side inside the classroom. The furniture should be comfortable for the students. There must be drawers there so that the children can put their bags, their pencil box, and other material inside the drawer, etc. And then the decks are in a slope, then 50 degrees to the horizontal must be taken care of. Now, if class roles, the teacher must know the names of each pupil, so that the children feel a relation with the child. Entering and leaving the room must be in an orderly manner. Whenever the children are coming from an assembly inside the classroom, they must come in a line. Whenever they are going, they should not just rush and run. They must go in a sequence, in a systematic way. Then distributing and collecting the material. Whatever you are teaching inside your classroom, if you are conducting activity, the material which you are distributing, if you are distributing the notebooks, their diaries, or any learning material, that must be systematic and that must take less time. Making use of chalkboard and laboratory equipment. Then what are the classroom equipment and resources inside the classroom? Chalkboard, charts, flannel board, pictures, computers, overhead projectors, etc. are the equipments. What other resources can be utilized? Latest books and journals can be kept. The teacher must be like they must know about whatever latest information is there regarding their subjects. Professional development should be there of the teachers. For that they can go for the they can organize some activities like seminars, or they must attend certain kind of activities. Then management of classroom environment, we have already some part we have discussed. The teacher basically is must create an environment whereby the students behavior modification takes place. There he needs to modify the behavior of the student. If they feel that the behavior is not going in a right track, the correction must be done at the appropriate time. For that, it is the duty of the teacher, as well as the head must be held responsible for that, or he must be aware about all the activities what are going inside the school and even inside the classroom. So, how to promote learning environment in the classroom? How that can be done? A better learning environment. So, we have discussed that communication with the students, regular communication, flow of ideas from the students, motivating the students, clarifying the issues, concept, problems, appropriate discipline inside the classroom, regular interaction with the students is very important. Taking care of the needs of the student. The needs of the student must be taken care of. So there are 4 points what a good teacher should do. He should emotionally create an emotionally pleasant environment. He should have a positive attitudes towards educational programs. He should set certain goals and make subject matter meaningful. So whatever subject the teacher is teaching, it should be meaningful. And then what should the school head do? The role of the school has is to observe all the things if they are going according to the objectives laid down for the school. Now, what is the functioning of a normal classroom? Here, it's very important to know that in a classroom, there must be interaction, as we have discussed also. The child must not be feared, scared. The child must be a happy child. He must know what to do, what not to do. Here, the role of the teacher is to just to guide the student, just to observe the student as a facilitator. So, he must not put lots of pressure, lots of tension over the student. He must be the teacher must um, share, discuss the thoughts. He must provide opportunity to the students also to share and discuss his thoughts. Now, if you talk about discipline, there must be a democratic discipline, democratic atmosphere, right conduct inside the classroom. The discipline must not be imposed upon the students by fear, because if the child is fearful, he will only obey the teacher when the he will only obey when the teacher is there. As soon as the teacher moves from there, he will start creating chaos inside the classroom. So a habit of self control must be developed among the students so that they can control on their own, and outside control is not required to the students. Now, how to develop a lively interactive classroom? First thing, initiator. The teacher must be an initiator. He must adopt certain strategies so that every child participates in the activities. He must be a motivator. He must motivate the students. There are many type of students inside the classroom. Some students are active, some are passive. So he must motivate the shy, introvert, passive students or lonely students also. We have discussed he must be a facilitator. He must provide facilities as well as resources to the childrens. He must elaborate, clarify the thoughts, the doubts of the children. Any questions which the children has asked, they must be clarified by the teacher. We must control if there is a discussion, if there is an interaction inside the classroom taking place. The teacher must have a control over that interaction. It must not happen that the interaction takes place a different direction. Everybody, all the student must be there on the same topic. They must not go to move around to the other topics and move the discussion in a different direction. That must be taken care of. And then closing the interactive session. At the end of the session, interaction session, the teacher must summarize the points, important highlights that must be summarized. What are the arguments which the two students has given, that must be highlighted and taken care of and can be discussed. So for interaction is very important. Generally what happens many a times when interaction takes place inside the classroom, children many a times starts fighting. Somebody is saying this is right, the other will say this is wrong. They will start argumenting or fighting together. That should not happen inside the classroom. There must be a healthy environment inside the classroom. That is the duty of the teacher to take care of. Now, what is the role and function of teacher? One important role is teaching learning. Other important role is managing the classroom. Other important role is managing the resources also, because if he has planned that this particular resource will be used inside my classroom, so he will be taking care of all that particular resource inside, how to use that, what to do, how to safeguard this, all the things will be taken care by the teacher. Very first thing, planning. Planning in advance what activities will be conducted, what is the size of the class. If the size of the class is huge, then it's become difficult to conduct a particular activity. In that case, the teacher may divide the children into smaller groups, and then accordingly the equipments may be utilized. Attendance, it must be checked that every child is regular inside the classroom. That must also be checked by the teacher. Instructional material may be used appropriately so that it doesn't waste the time. There is no confusion. It must be handled appropriately inside the classroom. Teacher must take care of the needs of the children, nature of the children. What is the nature of the children? If that particular child is very emotional in nature, so you should not be very harsh with that particular child. If that particular child is very naughty, you can scold that particular child sometimes to make him disciplined. So accordingly, that must be taken care. Seating should be right size and type to give comfort to the pupils. Then best conditions could be provided inside the classroom so that the teaching learning is effective and the teaching learning situation become more appropriate. Teacher must have a positive approach all the time whenever he is inside the classroom. He must develop an approach among the students whereby the students are self motivated, self controlled, self directed. There need not be an outer force, no requirement of an outer force to control the students. That's the best thing. Now, the role of head teacher in classroom management. Head teacher is a very important. We are talking about leadership and management. And teacher as a leader, we have talked about, and head teacher as a leader of the school, because he has to take care of each and everything, be it the building, be it the staff, be it the finance, be it the parents also, be it the community also, and there's other teaching learning material resources, teaching learning activities, everything. So the very first thing is head teacher must take class. Many a times what happens, as soon as a teacher becomes head of the department or head, he stops taking classes. So that the teacher must not do, the head must not do. He should always take a class, at least one class, so that he becomes in touch with the students, and then if he'll be in touch with the student, he'll know what is happening. So he'll be in a better position to control the things in the school. Then he could organize individual and group conferences or meetings with the teacher. Regular meetings must be uphold or holded inside the school about discussing important topic, examination, certain activities, certain organization of certain supervision, etc. That can be done. Then teacher must go around and see what is happening in the school. The head teacher, if the teaching learning is going on, he must go on around, moreover, to check what is happening. Then he should have a cordial relationship with the teachers and staff. So their identity, their respect must be maintained. The head should have take care that healthy traditions are set inside the school. The school becomes role model. We must motivate the teachers, motivate the class, motivate the staff also for better functioning of the school. Problems, if any problems comes up, committees can be formed so that the particular committee takes decision in any problem related to students, related to mismanagement of staff, teachers, etc. So lots of work. One more thing is very important. The head teacher must assign the work according to the ability of the teacher, according to the expertise of the teacher. The equality must be taken care of. That's it should not happen that one teacher is loaded with the work, the other is only just sitting around, roaming around, is not doing any work. That must be taken care of so that a cordial relationship, there remains harmony relationship among the human resource inside the school. Then teachers should regularly provide guidance and help to the teachers. It's a duty of the head teacher. So he must provide any kind of, he could provide how to use the ICT, he must help them how to teach, what methods to use. He must or she must tell what, how to maintain the discipline and many other things. So what strategies could be implemented, etc., how to develop a classroom environment, etc. So everything can be done. Then student orientation. It's important students must be oriented from time to time. They must be told about the activities of the school, the philosophy of the school, what are the communication abilities, interaction, subjects, etc. So from time to time, they must certain kind of sessions can be organized for the students also. And what is an ideal classroom and what are the ethos? So basically, an ideal classroom is a classroom whereby the students are self-controlled, they are self-directed, and there is a teaching learning process which is effective, very effective, and whereby the teachers do not, they are not authoritarian. There is a democratic setup in the classroom or inside the school. The teacher basically give freedom to the child to innovate, to create new things, and the teacher helps the children in developing their personality as well as help them in developing a innovative mode of work. So this is basically a how ideal classroom should be. There should be a lots of interaction. There is a case study, you can just go through this case study, and then if you feel like we can discuss that in the that learning system also. Now we'll move to the next unit. We have till now we have covered two units. Now we'll be taking some part of the third unit also. As I've told you that we have 5 units, so we'll be covering at least 2.5 units today. So this is about organizing learning experiences. I told you in the beginning that curriculum is about the learning experiences, total all the learning experiences with the child experiences takes inside the school. So how to organize those? So how to provide learning experiences, material, human, financial, time resources that must be taken care of, coming from the community, how the learning experiences can be taken from the community, how to use ICT, what is the role of the head, what are the skills needed for that particular thing. So whenever we say learning experiences, it means that all the learning which happens inside the school, directly or indirectly. So directly in a teaching learning situation, indirectly while they are not in a teaching learning situation. For example, the children are playing the children are playing some game, maybe cricket or maybe football, volleyball, any game. They are in a playground. So what happens there when the group plays? There are two teams, they are playing together, so they develop certain kind of feelings together. Like there are two teams, so they will have we feeling. This is our team, we are team A, we are team B, we have to win our team, we have to do these kinds of efforts. So they work together, they work in a cooperative manner, they coordinate together, they help each other. So what is happening? They are getting certain experiences, how to work together, how to cooperate, how to coordinate, how to work in teams, etc. So these are the things when I'm saying that experiences. This is the experience which is not inside the classroom. but the child is having this particular kind of experience. So that must be taken care. So mm, uh, yes, so this is what we are talking about here is experiences, not only the teaching learning experience, but the other experiences in the school. So how to provide learning experience in the classroom, what must be taken care? One thing is time, because the teacher have only one academic year. So in that particular academic year, there are certain vacations. The teacher has to complete their syllabus. They have to organize certain activities, maybe some sports activities, certain cultural activities of the school, and other activities which take place in the school. Those needs to be organized. So time is very important. Within that stipulated time, that must be completed. What is the expertise of the staff, the teachers? Are they able to organize, if is there is a musical competition, so do your school have a music teacher or a dance teacher or a particular teacher who could help in sports, or a fine arts teacher? So these kind of things are important there when we are talking about providing learning experiences in the classroom. What are the resources which are available in terms of human resource also, not in terms of money or other things? So here you can see these are basically 1 to 12 points are there. I'll just take you to a these are 12 points if you see here. So there was a model which was given by Edgar Dale. We generally teach this particular Edgar Dale model in technology, education technology. This model is very helpful for the students, for the teachers also, because it talks about the experiences of the learner, learning experiences. How come it talks about the learning experiences? If you look here on the first point, you will find direct purposeful experiences, then contrived experiences, demonstrations, study trips, exhibit, educational television, and so on, verbal symbols. So what happens here is the broadness of this particular Edgar Dale model is the more the senses are involved. If the maximum senses are involved in teaching learning situation, the child remembers, retains more information. The learning retention is increases. For example, if the child is only speaking inside their classroom, lecture method is going on. So what happens? The learning retention is less. But if you take your child to if you take your child, like you may take your child to a garden, or to see a historical building. If you take your child to see a historical building, so what will happen there? In that historical building, they will be able to see, and they will have live experiences, and they will be able to see this is a mosque, this mosque, huge mosque, and it looked like this is the color of the mosque. So they will have live experiences, and they will remember that particular thing. The retention of that particular material will be more. So Edgar Dale model is generally taught for learning and retention. The more senses are involved, the retention of the learning is more. The lesser the senses are involved, the retention is less. So I can show you something. Just give me a moment. Okay, I'll just share with you. Mm, I'll just share my screen again, and you can see. mm, So can you see? Is it visible to you?
Yes, ma, it's visible.
Yeah, yeah. So if you look here, this is Edgar Dale's cone of experience. Now, if you look at this cone, I'll just increase the size. If you look at this cone, you will see the direct and purposeful experiences are at the lower side. So The concrete experiences are here, right? And if you go to the top, text and verbal symbols, though they have a less space, then pictures, the space increases, pictures, then audios, then motion pictures, then exhibitions, then field trips and demonstration, dramatization, contrived experiences, and direct purposeful experiences. So you can see the degree of abstractness into this. So this is at the lower side, this is at the higher side. So you can see that more the teaching experiences are involved, you can have more retention in learning. So I'll just share again. Yes, so this is what Edgar Dale model talks about here. You can go through that again. Now, learning experiences in school. What are the different learning experiences in terms of material, human, financial, and time resources? So you can just have a look at this particular picture. So the head of the school and the teachers of the school, basically whatever we talk about, they are dependent on various things. They're dependent on the time, they're dependent on the finances also, they're dependent on the infrastructure of the school, they're dependent on the staff, they're dependent on the building. Suppose the school have only one building, there is only two rooms in the school, right? So what could be done? Only two rooms are there. They do not have much infrastructure. They do not have much equipments. No lab is there. So the teacher is not in a position to do any activity, but he can make use of certain internet and other resources to make children learn those particular things. So school, in context of school, the buildings, the equipments, the space, the pupils, and the times, they are very important. They must be available in order to have a better teaching learning environment, better teaching learning, or effective teaching learning. With that, the finances are very important. For example, your head wants to implant or put or establish a smart board inside the school, right? Now for that smart board they need some money, but the school is short of money. So in that way, the head wants to do that particular thing, but there is shortage of money, therefore it won't be possible. In that case, the head of the department or the head of the school can go for other resources also. They can go to NGOs, they can go to certain communities which can help them in that particular finance section, right? So the head is a duty of the head, how he will manage out these all these things, how he will plan, how will he supervise time, money, equipments, pupils, etc. It's the duty of the total duty of the head of the department. So if we talk about material resources, what material resources can be utilized? The furniture required, library is required, laboratory equipments are required, sports material is required. Student needs a ball, badminton, etc. Science equipments, TV, computer, other things are required, and for that the school needs finances or money. For that, what should the teacher, head of the department do? They should go for low cost teaching aids and low cost teaching aid, and they can tell the teachers also to develop certain kind of teaching aids which can be developed from low cost material, right? So in order to buy some costly materials, costly equipments, besides that the teacher can be trained to develop low cost teaching material. Then human resources, second important thing. Everybody, all the humans, be it the teacher, the heads, the non-teaching staff, fourth class employees, everybody should work together in harmony, as I told you. Because if there will be disharmony among the teachers, among the staff, among the head and the staff, there will be disturbance in the environment, and there will be a negative kind of environment which will not create a healthy situation in the school, which will create a negativity among the school. Therefore, it is advisable for the heads to develop a congenial environment in the school. They must take care of the needs of all the teachers, all the human resource, even students also, even parents also, because they are also a part of the school system. Then, financial resources is a duty and responsibility of the head to plan the budget for a particular year or 5 year or 10 years accordingly. Yearly budgets must be prepared, and then money can be spent accordingly where they can, where it is required, priority could be given. So, what is the priority? The salary of the teachers is a priority, or furniture is a priority, or they want to paint the rooms of the school, that is a priority, or developing a science laboratory is a priority, that must be decided. Even the teacher, even the head can raise funds from the other organization. The alumni can be used for that purpose, and besides alumni, the other communities, there are many organizations, they can be contacted, and they can there, from there also certain funds can be raised from. Then time resources is important. So time is important because I have discussed that there is only one session. Within that session, everything needs to be organized. So time is again a resource. So the teacher, the head, must plan according to the time and according to the session of the student. That's very important. They must take care that everybody in the school comes on time, the students are there on the time, the teachers comes on the time, all the time of the students is utilized appropriately. There should be proper planning, because if the teacher do not plan appropriately on time in advance, what will happen? Suddenly he will think, I'll do this thing inside the classroom. He will search for the material. Then he or she will arrange the things. Meanwhile, the time, there will be wastage of time of the students, of the teacher also. Team teaching can also be conducted. Team teaching is a very useful technique which can be utilized. 2 3 teachers can teach together inside the classroom according to their expertise. Then, learning experiences from the community, material, human, financial, time. When I'm saying learning experiences from the community, it means that various other organization from the community, you can say doctors, you can say engineers, you can say any other organization who are working in the community, can be called in the school, and they can provide their experiences, they can talk to the children, so they can also provide their learning experiences. So from time to time, the head could plan these kind of activities in the school. They can plan, and then accordingly the students can have a variety of learning experiences. So you can see professional and agencies like pollution department, eco clubs department, environmentalists, social workers, they can come, they can provide their lectures, they can show the students something, their experiences, etc. Secondly is visiting the places of learning experiences. So, if there are enough financial resources available in the school, then the school can plan, or the head can plan a visit of the students. So they can take the, for example, it's a, even that will be helpful, is a history subject, then you can take them to Abuja National Mosque, or any other historical place can be visited accordingly. Not only historical, but scientific laboratories can also be visited. So it has to be planned by the head of the department. So one thing is inviting the people from the community, and second thing is taking the student out of the school, in the community, in the society, to learn, see the things, and have different experiences accordingly. uh, so if you want to ask anything, any question up to here? Yes, any question from your side?
I think it is all
No
fine.
question, ma.
No question. Okay. All right. So then we were talking about ICT. ICT is a wonderful tool. You know this thing. We also know this thing, because this is only because of ICT that we are here today. We even you and us, we are communicating together. We can communicate from one part of the country to the other part of the country in a single click of a mouse. So computer assisted teaching is also essential these days. Since the time of COVID also it has been in use, but besides that also, before that also, ICT was of very importance, but it has been increased. The users have been increased since then. So ICT, making use of ICT, training the students in ICT, and then making use of different softwares, whereby the student can make use of those softwares. They can play games. There are variety of softwares which are available. You would have seen while teaching. For English languages there are softwares, the mathematics there are softwares, for sciences there are softwares where the students online can do certain activities on that particular software. So ICT also can play a very important role in teaching learning situation. So the teacher must be trained for that. You must have the resources. There must be computers, there must be internet connectivity in the school, in order to have those kind of experiences in the school. So it will also be that can also be utilized. Then a role of head, school head in the organization of learning experiences. So the head is very important. As I told you, he is a key person in the organization. He has to take many decisions. He has to have many responsibilities. He has to take care of many things, many resources in the organization. So, what is his role? Because you can only plan and experience an activity until and unless the head says yes, you can go ahead. Then only you can plan an activity. If your head doesn't allow you to do certain thing, then you will not be in a position to do that. So therefore he plays a key pivotal role in an organization. So he must be aware about all the things, latest things in the, he must be knowing about ICT. He must be knowing about many principles, many theories, many organizational things, so in order to take decisions. So he must be in a position to plan and arrange the resources for the school, because he has to plan, she has to plan all the things for the school: training of the teachers, supervision of the teachers, observation of the teachers, solution of the problems of the parents, schools, students, staff, teachers, providing suggestion, etc. So this is all the responsibilities of the school head. So you can see he has to arrange for the resources. Suppose in your school a mathematics teacher has left the school, right? Now when the mathematics teacher or the science teacher or English teacher or Arabic language teacher has left the school, what will happen? How will the students learn that particular subject? So what will happen? The head needs to search out a teacher. He need to find out somebody who could take that particular responsibility. So human resources, arrangement of human resources with other resources is equally essential, because without human resources nothing can be done. So I believe we'll stop here now, and then we'll continue tomorrow with the remaining units which we have tomorrow, I mean next session when we are having. So we have completed almost 2.5 units, and in MES 006 block 2, 2.5 units are remaining. Now if you have any question, we can take the questions, or any confusions, or you can write down your question on the LMS portal also. So there also we are there to answer to your questions. So anything you like to discuss or any point, so we can take your questions.
Our question
Anything?
will be available in the LMS.
Yes, you can put your questions there. You can go through the material, and then if you feel still that there are certain questions which evolve in your mind, you can write down the questions there. Or we'll be discussing that. But still, if you want certain questions right now, we can I can take them.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Have a good day. See you in the next session.
Same to you, ma.
Yeah,
Okay, ma. Thank you. Too.
thank you so much.